Hey guys, it is Monday morning and I miss you all. As you can see, I do. I know that you guys have had one great week of digital learning and I know we're going into week 2, but I just wanted to start and let you know that I've missed each of you. I'm excited about another week of digital learning, but I can't wait to get back to school and see you guys. So we're going to get started today. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on patterns today. We're going to be looking at each question. We're just going to kind of go through a couple. If you have any questions after watching the video or during the video, just pause it, and what you can do is send me a message and I'll be more than happy to kind of go over it again with you. On question number 1, it says the chart below shows pairs of X values and Y that are related. So like we've been doing with the coordinate planes, we have an X and a Y axis, and those points tell us where to place them. So if we look, what they're wanting us to do here is they're wanting us to look at a rule, because there's always going to be a rule with those X and Y axes, and to see which ones go together. It says which rule correctly describes how to find the value of Y for each pair in the chart when the value of X is known. So what I want you to do is take a second and look at each of these X values and see how they compare with the Y values. Go ahead and pause the video and take a second to look and see how do they compare with each other. What do you notice about the X and the Y coordinate? So if you look at the first ordered pair here, you have an X coordinate of 24 and you have a Y coordinate of 4. So there's a couple ways you can get from 24 to 4. You can subtract. You could take away 20, but what we need to make sure is that rule is something that can apply to each of the ordered pairs. So I could do 24 minus 20, and that would give me 4, but then to get from 36 down to 6, I couldn't just take away 20. So if you looked, a rule that you could have seen is if you divide 24 by 6, 24 divided by 6 would give you 4. Then if I do that same rule, dividing by 6, 36 divided by 6 would give me 6. 48 divided by 6 would give me 8. And 54 divided by 6 would give me 9. So a rule that would apply to all is A, divide the value of X by 6. Now we have to be careful with is look at the other answers here. B says add 20 to the value of X. Well, if I added 20 to 24, I know that wouldn't work. That would give me 44. C says multiply the value of X by 6. So they do that part where it's X by 6, but you have to read carefully because that one's multiplying. And then like we said with D, it's subtract 20. That would work for the first ordered pair, but it has to be a rule that works for all. So in this one, your first answer would be A. All right, guys, the next problem we're going to look at here, it talks about 2 men. It says, question 2, 2 men are throwing wood on a fire. Joe starts with 4 logs and throws 2 more logs into the fire every 30 minutes. Kevin starts his fire with 3 logs and throws 3 more logs into the fire every 30 minutes. Which of these ordered pairs shows the correct amount of wood in the fire every 30 minutes for Joe and Kevin? So what we're going to do is I want you to wait for a second and look back at the problem, read it again. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a chart. So I'm going to go ahead and pop up my chart real quick, and I'll give you a second to draw out a chart on your paper to get something to write with. All right, guys, so what I went ahead and did is I popped up my chart. And if you want to pause the video for a second and go ahead and write this out, you can. We can work it out together. But what I know is I drew a chart, and I have Kevin and I have Joe. And what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and use the data that it gives me in the problem, and I'm going to fill out my chart. So what I know is it says if I go back, 2 men are throwing wood on a fire. Joe starts with 4 logs. So what I would do is with Joe, I would make sure I started with 4. And I'm going to actually go ahead and flip these guys. Since Joe is the first one they talk about in the problem, I'm just going to put him first. So I know that Joe has 4 logs, so I'm going to start, and I'm going to put a 4 in the first column where he starts. And then it says, and he throws 2 more logs into the fire every 30 minutes. Then it says Kevin starts his fire with 3 logs, and throws 3 more logs into the fire every 30 minutes. So I know Kevin would start with 3. Now, just like we've talked about with these, we have rules. So I know my first rule for Joe in the problem, it says that Joe is going to be adding 2 every 30 minutes. And I know down at the bottom it says Kevin is going to throw 3 logs. So his would be 3 every 30 minutes. So what we'll do is we'll add that to our chart. So if Joe's adding 2 every 30 minutes, he starts with 4. If he adds 2, that means his next one should be 6. Then the next 30 minutes, if he adds 2 more, he would be up to 8 logs. If I go up another 30 minutes, he would add 2 more, which would be 10 logs. And then if I go up again, he would be at 12 logs. So now I need to go down and look at Kevin. Kevin started with 3 logs, and every 30 minutes, his rule is he's going to be adding 3 more. So if he starts with 3, his next one would be 6. If he adds 3 more again, his next one would be 9. If he adds 3 more, he would be at 12. And then if he adds 3 more, he would be at 15. So what we have now is we have our data in our chart that's filled out. And what we actually have is we now have our ordered pairs. Joe would really be our x-axis, and Kevin would be our y-axis, or our y-coordinates. So what I want to do is let's look at these ordered pairs. So I would have an ordered pair of 4, 3. I'd have an ordered pair of 6, 6. I would have an ordered pair of 8 as an x-coordinate and 9 as my y-coordinate. I would have an ordered pair of 10 and 12. And I would also have an ordered pair of 12 and 15. So if I go back and look at my answers now, it says which of these ordered pairs shows the correct amount of wood in the fire every 30 minutes for Joe and Kevin. Well, D just automatically clicked. So I'm looking for one that would be 4 and 3. Well, if I look, D doesn't have 4 and 3 as an ordered pair, so I know it can't be D. C doesn't have an ordered pair of 4 and 3, so I know it can't be C. Now, if I look at B and A, I have to be careful because they both have an ordered pair of 4 and 3. So the next one I need is the ordered pair of 6 and 6. Well, if I look in B, it does not have it, so I know that rules out B. So let's look at A. A has 4 and 3, 6 and 6. It has 8 and 9, and it also has 10 and 12. So my answer for this one would be A. Hey guys, this is number 3. It says patterns X and Y are generated using these rules. So what they do is they give us the coordinate plane and they're wanting us to graph the points. It says pattern X, start with 0 and add 6. Pattern Y, start with 3 and add 4. It says graph the first 4 points in the form X and Y to represent the ordered pairs formed by the corresponding terms in pattern X and pattern Y. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this one together. It tells us in pattern X, which would be our X axis, we're going to start with 0 and we're going to add 6. So what that means is I'm going to start at 0 and I'm starting at 0 on the X axis. And if I look at Y, it says start with 3. So I know I'm going to be at a 0 on my X axis and a 3 on my Y axis. So X axis, which is I'm at the origin, I'm going to stay at 0 and I'm going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3, and I would put my point there. Now what I want to do is I want to go back and I want to look at the rule. Now it'll move a little bit, which is fine. It says add 6 on the X axis and then add 4 on the Y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it over and I'm going to go over, it said add 6, add 6. So on my X axis, I would be moving over 6. I'd go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it said to go up 4 on my y-axis. So where I'm at right now, I'd go up 4. So I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be my first point. So I would be at x-axis is 6, y-axis would be 7. So if I wrote that as an ordered pair, it's going to move around a little bit. It would be, that first one would be 6, comma 7. Now, if I keep doing the same rules like I've been doing, what I would do is on my x-axis, I would move over 6, and I would move up 4 again. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I would move up 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my next point would be at 12, 11. So what I'm going to do is I'll make a copy of this one, and I will move this one to 12 and up to 11. And all I got to do to keep finding more of these patterns is to keep moving 6 on my x-axis and up 4 on my y. And if I'm doing that, I'd be following my rule here. X-axis adding 6, y-axis adding 4. Hey guys, we're going to be on number 5. In this one, it says, in which of the following charts are the y values 3 times more than the x values? So what I need to do is look at the y values and see which chart shows the y values 3 times more than the x values. Well, if I look at A, I know the y value is 5. The x value is 2, though. Well, I'm looking for the y values to be 3 times more. That one's just 3 more. It's not 3 times more. Same thing with the next number, 6, and then 3. It's not 3 times that. It's just 3 more. So it's not going to be A. Let's go down to B. The y-axis is 6. The x-coordinate is 2. Well, I know that 6 is 3 times bigger than 2, so that one works. Let's look at the next one. I have a y-coordinate of 9. I have an x-coordinate of 3. 9 is 3 times greater than 3. I know that 12 is 3 times greater than 4, and 15 is 3 times greater than 5. So B works. Let's just make sure we check them all out. So if I look at C, sorry guys, I'm not good at shading this. C, the y-axis is 2, the x-coordinate is 5. That's actually going to make the y-axis smaller, and I need the y value to be 3 times greater, so it can't be C. And if I look at D, well, the y-coordinate is 2, the x-coordinate is 6. Well, I know that 6 is greater than 2, and it's 3 times greater, but that would mean the x values are 3 times bigger, and I need the y values to be 3 times bigger, so it wouldn't be that. So my answer would be B. Hey guys, I got just enough time to maybe go through one more problem. Let's look at number 6. It says the grid shows the path that Mark took to the market. Point A is where he started, and point B is the market. Which coordinate shows his position when he was halfway to the market? So we need to be looking for about halfway, and what we can do is we're going to look at the answers they gave me, and I can actually use these to see which one would be about halfway. If I look at A, it's 0, 0. Well, I should know right away that if it's ever 0 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis, that is the origin, and I also know that that's point A, which is where he started, so that's definitely not halfway, so it's not A. The B is 2, 4, which means I would go 2 on my x-axis, and I would go up 4 on my y. That's not even on his path, so it can't be B. So let's look at C and D. Now, if I look at C and D, I have 8 and 4, and 4 and 2. Well, if I do 8 counts on the x-axis and up 4, that actually gives me his ending place. So that wouldn't be it. So I know it can't be A, I know it can't be B, and I know it can't be C. So I'm left with D. D, the 4 means 4 on the x-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 2 on the y. That would be about halfway, so that would be my answer would be D. Guys, I really appreciate you coming and watching the video today. Please complete the little Flipgrid assignment with it, and please feel free to email me if you have any questions. I hope you guys have a great first day of digital learning in week 2. Bye.